Hello everybody, this is Anti-Natalist, and I'm just going to hold my camera here while I drive. I've just thought of a little quick message today because I have a long drive today to go to another county, and so these are a couple of observations that I have made over the last couple of years, and it has actually been a strong observation. I'm on many child-free groups, anti-natalist groups, and even I regret having children Facebook group. So I have been, listening carefully and really taking in a lot of information. And there's two things that I want to discuss that that have really stood out as being kind of prominent. And one thing is that I've seen and heard a lot of men talking about wage slavery. And hey, life is overrated. Simping. Yeah, simping. That's his word. So he didn't want to be the company simp. And I totally hear you. So I don't hear that many women saying the same thing. And I guess I always had a prejudice of thinking that, men in general kind of look forward to careers and working, but I'm seeing the very opposite within the anti-natalist community and the Facebook community. I will tell you a little bit about my history. I had a job when I was 16 and worked, all through my 20s and into the 30s. And so, a long history of, working. And I remember my first job was definitely not pleasant. And so my first job was at Pizza Hut. And the thing I didn't like about that job, basically we were understaffed. And, I was the dishwasher and hostess and waitress. And I think my wage was $1.50 maybe per hour. And, an occasional 50 or 75 cent tip. So it was really low. And I remember at the evening I had to use the vacuum cleaner, and the vacuum cleaner was hideous. It was rattly, it didn't work well, and you had to clean up after dirty customers and children and families. And then I, changed jobs over the years and went to college for, I don't know, I guess about 5 years. And went to cooking school. And then I was an esthetician, cosmetologist, hairdresser, nail technician, everything. All everything in that sector. And also I worked in the humane fundraising sector for animals. Did a lot of other jobs too. A little bit of gardening. Worked at a plant nursery at one point. Did a lot of babysitting when I was young. Let's see what else. Waiting tables. And one thing that was very important for me was to get my sleep. So the jobs that I held allowed me to sleep in later, which were mall jobs, because malls did not open till like 10, so I would get a mall job and they stayed open till 9 or 10 p.m. So that afforded me some sleeping time. And also waiting tables, because I waited tables at night, and so that worked out really well for me. If I had to get up early and fight a lot of traffic, it would be totally miserable. And I always worked within about 15 minutes from where I lived. Maybe when I was younger I lived a little bit farther. I mean, I worked in retail a clothing store when I was young, and so just a variety of jobs. But one thing I have noticed over the last couple of years is a strong dislike of working in jobs from the male population, which really surprised me. I don't hear women being very vocal about that, but I do know that women do resent working. The other thing that I have noticed is the overwhelming response to regretful parents being female, and that they felt pushed into motherhood by mostly their male counterparts. And I've seen on I Regret Having Children group on Facebook, I have noticed just an outstanding number of women have mentioned their boyfriends, partners, spouses, and somewhat their families, but mostly the men in their lives were the ones that wanted children or more children, or they wanted a certain gender, and the woman was persuaded and encouraged and pushed, and to a point where I guess they didn't back down. They just went with the pressure. And that's something that I was not prepared to hear. I really thought that it was women who just wanted to have children, but as it seems, a lot of men are the ones that want families. And with that being said, the men do not have to endure a pregnancy. They don't have to bear the breastfeeding responsibilities or most of the caretaking and raising of the children. So naturally, a man would not have any qualms against wanting more children from his wife. Now, that's not always the case, but there is a huge, strong component of the men and women's lives wanting children, or pressuring them. And women feel that if they keep the relationship, or they keep the marriage, that they have to endure a pregnancy. So those two things I was not prepared to hear. I guess about even as recently as a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I would have thought the very opposite. I would have thought women were the ones that resented being a wage slave and working and being more vocal about it. And I would have thought that it was women who wanted children, but I'm finding out that a lot of it's just simply pressure, and that they regret being mothers, and they wish they could go back and do it all over again and change their course of life, because it changes a woman so deeply. And so, every generation seems to regret work and traffic and getting up early and, just, being in the rat race, being just another worker. I mean, nobody wants to feel common. I mean, everybody would like to be the CEO of a company, right? I mean, everybody would like to be in charge and be the boss, but there's, too many people in this world, and there's just limited positions for being a boss. But as long as, people have been living, work has to be done, whether it's finding food, hunting for food, building a house, putting food on the table, going to a job. Work is a must if we are to live and to eat and to be sheltered. So why haven't people connected the two? And why haven't natalists slacked off on having children? Why are they plunging their children into wage slavery when it's never going to end? As long as people keep having children, wage slavery and going to work and fighting traffic and paying taxes and being a simp. Yeah, being a company simp. Yeah, kissing up, huh? Kissing up to that boss, right? Bending over, right? Life is overrated. Bending over every day. Bend over, kissing that, yeah. Kissing that, boss. Kissing up to that boss. Brown nosing that boss. So, yeah, it makes no sense. This life is just a vicious circle. And there's no point in living and being in existence and being a wage slave only to die. And I mean, even
in 2 miles, take exit 78A toward US 30 East, Ardmore Boulevard.
When I was young, it was drudgery. I mean, the wages were low. I think we even had a whole lot less rights. I endured a lot of, sexual harassment in the workplace, and bosses did some things that were actually considered violent that would never pass muster these days. I think, in the 60s and 70s, we were much more we were slaves. But nobody really wants to work. Well, some people do, and some people found pride in their work, but most people don't, because they don't feel like they make enough, and they don't feel like they're appreciated. They're just, asked to do a lot of work for, a lot of hours and minimum pay. So why do natalists keep reproducing their children in order to just end up as wage slaves just like they are? If you have the answer to that question, please jot it down below, because no baby consents to wage slavery, and wage slavery was the ultimate imposition. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.
In a 1/4 mile, take